the fully automatic parking system is such a custom piece of machinery that you typically see them in locations like San Francisco, New York, Miami, those who have huge space constraints, and they, for instance, could not install a ramp, or you have a specific situation where you have water tables or bedrock. So these are very, very special situations where a fully automatic parking system would make sense. And typically it is, in a situation where you can't have conventional and also not the latter two categories to install or get parking at all.
Welcome to CRE PN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals who work with investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial real estate coast to coast. Whether you're an investor, broker, lender, property manager, attorney, or accountant, we're here to learn from the experts.
Welcome to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CRE PN Radio. Thanks for joining us. My name is J. Darren Gross. This is a podcast focused on commercial real estate investment and risk management strategies. Weekly, we have conversations with commercial real estate investors and professionals who provide their experience and insight to help you grow your real estate portfolio. Today's interview is sponsored by Building Insurance and Risk. When you invest in real estate, it pays to work with a real estate investor protection specialist to protect yourself and your investment from catastrophic loss. The experts at Building Insurance and Risk focus on real estate investor protection. They provide you with multiple insurance coverage offers and a side-by-side coverage comparison. To learn more, go to buildinginsurancerisk.com. Today my guest is Christopher Tiessen. Today my guest is Christopher Tiessen. Christopher is the president and CEO of Clos Multi-Parking America, Inc. Christopher Tiessen spearheads the U.S. sales and operations subsidiary of a global leader in premium parking systems, Clos Multi-Parking GmbH. And in just a minute, we're going to speak with Christopher Tiessen about automated and mechanical parking systems. But first, a quick reminder. If you like our show, CRE PN Radio, there are a couple things you can do to help us out. You can like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we encourage you to leave a comment. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Also, if you want to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. And while you're there, please subscribe. With that, I want to welcome my guest, Christopher Tiessen. Welcome to CRE PN Radio.
Thank you for having me, Darren. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm looking forward to our conversation. But before we get started, if you could take just a minute and share with the listeners a little bit about your background.
Yes. So, Christopher Tiessen, I'm originally from Germany. Born and raised, came to the United States as a kid. My dad used to work for Toys R Us, so he got an opportunity to work here. Went to school here, went back to Germany to study, and then got the opportunity after some time to work for Klaus, and came here in 21 as a VP, and worked into establishing the subsidiary here. And yeah, since 5 years now, I'm also the president and CEO. So very rough background for myself.
Got it. So the topic and what we're going to talk about is the parking systems. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if a good place to start is kind of if you could provide a description of what the parking systems are and kind of a range of the operations.
Definitely.
Sound good?
Yeah, definitely. So we have the general term for mechanical parking is stackers. So you can just think of, stacking cars on top of each other. Those are the stackers. We then differentiate in three sub-tiers. We have the dependent stackers, where we have really just a lift where we have one car beneath each other, and the car below it has to be driven out to get the car on the top out. Then we have the puzzle parkers. The puzzle parkers are more for your multifamily use application, mixed use application, where we have independent parking off each other. So you do not have to drive the other car out to get your car. Why do we call it a puzzle parker? Because in these puzzle parkers, you have to leave one free space for the system to shuffle around, like the puzzles we had as a kid with one piece missing. And then we have the premium product that everybody always wants and sees, in TV or in Mission Impossible, the fully automatic parking systems, where you have, a robot or what we call a retrieval machine, a big crane essentially, taking your car and putting it to a shelving unit. So these are the three main ones, I would say. And they have different applications, they have different use cases, and all of these can help, making the project possible.
Got it. So I guess my first question then, based on these different types of parking,
Mhm.
is the majority of the operations of the sales that Clos is involved in, is it more new construction, or are there any situations where you're coming in, with a retro or an addition?
So predominantly it's new construction, definitely, because it's also a lot easier to integrate the system. But we're also seeing, the garages getting of an age, and the requirements for parking getting bigger and bigger, and you have to have more parking spots, that we have solutions to assist in those situations. They're not often, so I would say about 5% are retrofits and 95% are actually new construction.
Got it. And I should have specified before. Clos you guys design and manufacture and install the product, is that right?
Exactly. So our company is 120 years old. We've been doing mechanical parking stackers since 65 roughly. So we have just celebrated our 60th anniversary in that aspect. And we're a legacy company. So our family Klaus still owns our company. And yeah, they've have multiple dealerships worldwide, and we have roughly 1 million spaces installed globally, and about 45,000 here in the United States.
Got it. So you mentioned the three different types. What do we say here? I got the
Depend
puzzle. The what was the first one? The
Dependent stacker.
dependent. There you go.
Yeah.
Could read my writing. So dependent, puzzle, and the fully automated. Um, is there a size of need that best fits, or is there a range of size or demand that these kind of match up to? Or can you have, can they all do the same, or is there? I'm just kind of curious how does
Yeah.
one determine which would be the obviously. I mean, I'm assuming there's significant price difference for the fully automated as opposed to the
A,
dependent, but
a bit, just a bit.
yeah, yeah,
But yes, that's correct. So you can actually, each and every category you can fit to another category. So for instance, dependent stackers is predominantly used in hotel situations where you have an attendant, or valet situations, because these systems always have to be used by someone who's trained on the system. So dependent stackers typically are used by attendants. So you see them, as I said, in hotels, venues, big cities where you have valet parking. The puzzle parker is the one who's used the broadest, I would say. You would have applications in multifamily, mixed use. We also have hotels. We have life sciences. We have offices. The good thing with this kind of system is you are independent of the other users. You have either a key fob, which is designated to your parking space, or a remote control with what you can then call your parking space when you want it. The fully automatic parking system can also be used as the latter one, but the fully automatic parking system is such a custom piece of machinery that you typically see them in locations like San Francisco, New York, Miami, those who have huge space constraints, and they, for instance, could not install a ramp, or you have a specific situation where you have water tables or bedrock, So these are very, very special situations where a fully automatic parking system would make sense. And typically it is, in a situation where you can't have conventional and also not the latter two categories to install or get parking at all.
Got it. And with that, is there any number of parking space limitations with any of these, or?
Not really. We start from, two parking spaces to the biggest one we have done is over 300 parking spaces. So it is always dependent on the needs of the client itself.
What about height or number of
Mhm.
vehicles stacked on top of another? How many are we talking? What's a maximum you can do?
So for the stackers, it's 3 levels. For the puzzle parkers, is 5 levels, but these 5 levels can be where we have the entry point can be flexible. Either it's 4 below or 5 high, whatever we want to. And the fully automatic, the same. We can then go up to seven levels, and then also however we want to arrange that in the location that we're at and dealing with whatever challenges we have there.
Got it.
Mhm.
So you mentioned water tables being, a challenge and a
Mhm.
reason to go up. Is there any, or is there a common way? Do you find, I mean, are people doing couple stories down and a couple stories up, or how does one go about configuring the space, or what do you see as a typical?
The typical we see is always not wanting to excavate, because that's the most costly part. So we have, for instance, if we talk about Miami, it just doesn't make sense because the water table is just right there. If we're talking about New York, New Jersey, so with New Jersey, it's from West New York down to Bayonne. We have a mix of, okay, we're willing to dig a pit roughly 6 feet and then have stacking above that so we can still use somewhat of the podium height. But if we have locations where we have, past restrictions, it is always dependent also on what is really needed by the client and how much space do we have to work with. Of course, we always think about if we have to have reduced space, it is more about because we have issues of not getting your parking count, but it is not only for compliance, but mechanical parking can also generate space for you. So you can generate more units and also can generate amenities that you would not be possible to have before. So these mechanical parking can be a great tool for you to just increase your ROI because you just have more units that you can build and also just have a faster build time because you're not having to excavate maybe 3 levels down because you need 100 spaces. No, you just need to do it 6 feet down and you have stacked three cars on top of the other. So it's not only for compliance, it's also to, be a tool for you to generate more and have a great tool just to also be a step ahead of other buildings, make yourself more attractive and generate a point where tenants want to come to you because you have mechanical parking because you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. No, with that, I'm just thinking of the one that I've seen here recently, and I assume it was a Clos. I don't know who it was, but just
Mhm.
I think it's more of like a puzzle
Mhm.
type thing. I'm curious. So for the vehicles that the system is parking, is there any kind of a size capacity, or is there a when how? Because I'm assuming there's some sort of design factors in there. You're probably not putting Suburbans in this as much as probably
No.
more compact sedans kind of thing, or am I thinking right?
So we can do definitely SUVs, big SUVs. The only thing we cannot do is multi-family SUVs or pickup trucks because of the length. That's more the issue. Um, Height wise, we can go up to 7 feet four. If we want to talk about limitations in weight, we can go up to 6,600 pounds. But every system is highly customizable, especially if we think about EVs as well. Since they are getting, they are in our infrastructure now, and we have to think about them. We also have weight upgrades through that as well. So the standard was always, 4,400 pounds, like the industry standard. Now we're talking more of everybody having 5,700 pounds, just because we have to accommodate for heavy cars. They're not really bigger, but they're just, heavier through the batteries. So the restrictions are definitely in the length and height, and we can accommodate predominantly all cars, but it's also dependent of the building itself. What kind of ceiling height are we working with? What kind of pit depth, for instance, are we working with? So these can always define what actually fits into the system. We always try to have a minimum ceiling height of 12 feet 6. So we at least can have SUVs on the ground floor, and then, for instance, sedans on the upper floor. Also, then having the greater platform loads on the ground floor. So we can accommodate for SUVs being more heavier, and also for the EVs being heavier, and just accommodate them. And then the lighter cars, as the sedans typically are, can be on top.
Got it. So if I'm a developer or a property owner, and I'm trying to maximize and provide amenities and that, when's the best time to get you involved as far as the process? Is this with the architects when we're doing design? Is this something that we've got the build, but the city's coming to us and say we need more parking? Where is it that you find most of the opportunity as far as where you guys start with the project?
So we typically start way in the beginning. So typically, it's still schematic, and they're already seeing, okay, we are needing to meet this parking count. We have these restrictions. Can you give us an idea? So we consult then with the developer itself, with the architects, and also with civil to see, where do we fit in? How can we fit in? Is it feasible as well? That's a huge thing. Parking is always, a point of, yeah, we have to do parking. This could be, make or break. With mechanical parking, does it make sense then also, because we're generating other things, where we can generate money to make it feasible. So the earlier the better, because then as well, all of the other traits after that get introduced to the building can get ready for, us being there, for, having X amount of sprinkler lines, having, the MEPs run in a certain direction, so we are not interfering with the stacker itself. So as early the better, but we're also seeing that sometimes, as you said, the city says, okay, you do need more parking because something changed in our legislation, that they come back with an already, in a late stage project, which was ready to, there's trouble in the ground, that we then come in and to essentially redesign the whole parking level to make it at least possible. For instance, here in New Jersey, in May, we had a new legislation passed that the floodplain is increased by 4 feet higher. So this, of course, if you're now in a floodplain, which we were not before, and you have to have, different kind of cement now, you have to think of all of these things. This could just throw out your whole project. So then a puzzle parker comes into play, of course. If you can just go 5 levels high, you don't have to excavate for your parking. That makes it then possible again, which was beforehand, maybe you had to scrap the whole project. So there's an either or in there, but typically that we have to predominantly that we start very, very early on.
Got it. So for the developer, and also in mind, thinking, in mind of their tenants or whoever's going to be using it, is it fair to say that most of these, I mean, whoever's using or whoever owns the parking system is then able to charge the tenants or whoever's using it a fee? And with that, is it would it or do you know, or does it? I mean, I assume that the operator gets to determine all that. That's not really your concern. Is that? Am I thinking right? Or
Well, we do have maintenance that is ongoing. If our customer, of course, has the maintenance contract with us, they also have warranties on the ports as long as they have the maintenance contract with us. And the maintenance contract does cost something per month. And typically they take this cost and either integrate it in the HOA cost, or sometimes, you just don't have people have cars because they're using public transit, that they then charge a fee for this parking spot. What we also see is if you have 80% of your tenants actually having a car and you have 20% left of your parking space, which are not being used at all, that they actually rent those out to surrounding buildings. Or we have an instance in Jersey City, it's right across a school, that the teachers then use this parking as well, and they generate monthly revenue through that as well.
yeah, I was just thinking. You're talking about probably high density areas where parking's a premium, and they're going to have to pay to park wherever they park, and if they can park right on site, that's a bonus, right? I
Yeah.
would think so. They'd be willing to pay for that as opposed to having to, go find a place far away or whatever.
Yeah, it's also time you're winning. Typically you're searching for 15, 20 minutes for a parking spot that you have to squeeze into. And then maybe your car getting damaged as well because, people are just, driving and not minding and looking. And then you have your car in comparison then in a safe space, and you just put your car in there and press a button, the door opens and closes and nobody can access your parking space. So um there's definitely a bonus there.
Got it. So you talked about like the dependent one requires
Mhm.
an attendant,
Mhm.
so valet kind of situation, or is that something you also see like car dealers? I've seen a lot of car dealers lately. They have like a stack where their sign is out in the front, and they've got 4 or 5 vehicles, more like display. Is that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so we do that as well. But it's rare, I have to say, because typically you have such a fast turnaround in cars that storing them like that doesn't is not too attractive for them, in my
Yeah, no,
opinion.
it seems to be it's more of a something
Commodity.
that's unique that people look at like, oh, what's that? And
Yeah, yeah,
attention gets attention. So
yeah, definitely. It's more of a billboard for them then.
right, right. So with the other the puzzle and the fully
Mhm.
automated, if I'm a user of the parking, and so let's say I'm a resident of
Mhm.
the multifamily building, and I pull in, and the one I saw, it seemed like there was a gate or something that, because there's a designated place where you pull in. You don't just pull in anywhere. There's a spot you pull into that, park,
Mhm.
get out, uh, and then it will move depending on who needs the next vehicle or whatever else is next needed. Is that kind of the way it works, or?
So for us, it's we have every bay has a door, and this door you will always have. That's your door. You will always drive into it. So it's not that the system only has one door for the puzzle. It has multiple doors, and your key fob or remote control is then linked to your parking spot. So as I said before, the building dictates on what car heights and sizes we can fit into the system. So for instance, if you have a sedan, you'll most likely fit on the upper floor because it's just less space there. So um, you press your button or present the key fob, and the system then shuffles in such a way that the platform can be lowered to the ground floor, and then you can access your parking spot and get your car out. And then if you come, typically we have remote controls with that. You just push the button of your remote control. The system shuffles, if need be, from the position it was before, and then presents your car so you can park your car.
Got it. So the operator doesn't necessarily have to do anything other than present a key fob or a code or whatever
Exactly.
to get their vehicle. And
Exactly.
and you mentioned the door that you enter and exit from is the same always. Is that if there's say you've got 100 unit uh, parking, would there be multiple entry points, or would it be
Yeah,
one,
definitely.
one? Okay.
Every bay has their entry, and every bay has their door. But for you specifically, you would always have the same entry for your parking spots. You would always have the same entry and way you're getting to your parking spot. So it's not that it's at random, it's specified to that entry. So the next tenant in unit 500, for instance, has one way down there and they drive to that spot to get into their parking spot. But also, all of our parking spots are always numbered. We have plates in front of their, saying, spaces 1 through 100. And so your parking space is 50 and you'll go to your parking space with your sign there.
Is the space that my car's parked in, is it the same every time, or
Yeah,
will it okay.
it's
Okay.
always the same.
I don't know if that would okay. So with that, are you able to provide EV charging then for the space? Or
Yes.
is that
So we can provide the columns for that, with also all of the cables and everything. Since we're not a charging company, we leave the chargers then to the developer to get with a charging company. But we have columns that then move with the platform, either side to side or up and down, without, cable snagging or anything. So that is definitely possible. We can have it from the beginning or also retrofitted, which is also mostly important.
yeah, that adds another level of complexity as opposed to just a parking spot. Now you got a cord that's following you around all. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm curious, and whether or not you want to say is, I'll leave that up to you. But is there like a sweet spot, just kind of a price that people expect to pay for? I mean, if you were, you said, Darren, you're wanting to build this, and it's a 300 unit apartment complex or building,
Mhm.
and it's say it's 5 stories tall. Or I may make it 4 stories. I think there's some cutoffs there, but so you got
Mhm.
4 or 5 stories, whatever it is. First of all, the number of spaces required, I'm assuming in these more densely populated areas is not it's not necessarily one for one. Um, is it one for two? Is that is there some sort of a number you see there, or is it ranged?
It differs. We also have a situation where cities have 0.7, for instance. We still are getting into that. We have to apply for have applicable spaces for ourselves because just the lots are very, very small. But we between 0.7 to 1.5 or sometimes 2. So every city is different in what they want. But we typically try to get 1-to-1 in there, and typically we get that because we're just condensing the space so much.
Got it. So again, on a 1-to-1, is there an
Mhm.
average price per spot based on,
Yeah,
if you do the math?
yeah. So if we just say dependent stackers, the industry standard right now is between 12 to 15,000, depending on the size of the project. If the size is smaller and we can't get the containers full, the price is just a bit higher because the overhead always stays the same. If we're talking about puzzle parkers, it varies highly on, how much levels do we have. If we talk about what we call a two high and one in a pit, with a decent size, let's say of 50 spaces, we're talking about 23 to 25,000 a space. If we're talking anything higher than that, let's say a 4 or 5 level, we're going more into the 30 to 35s. And fully automatic parking system, it's somewhere between 40 to 100,000 or more. So it's highly dependent also on the challenges, how big it is, what kind of extras do we have in there. So in the complexity of the system itself. But that would be roughly what you can estimate.
Well, and with that, though, again, it goes back to the density and, the fact that the people, whoever has the car is, probably they're going to be paying significant sum wherever they park just
Yeah.
based on the density. So,
Yeah.
That makes sense. Um, Interesting. So, do you find that most of the parking structures you install are they mostly used by the property owners, tenants, or do you find there's a fair amount that are leasing spaces to neighboring, you know, not affiliated with the property directly?
So typically it's just 80% tenants, definitely, that
Okay.
use the system. It on average, I would say. And then we have some that definitely, if they have the possibility, they definitely rent them out to, to others in the region, just because they want to have the system full so it can generate as much revenue as possible.
Got it. Got it. And the maintenance contract you mentioned, um, is that basically monthly, or how often do you guys inspect and
Yeah.
service?
So we like to do it monthly. The industry standard right now is biannually. So every 6 months you come out and look at the system. I per se don't like that because you don't get a feel for the system. The system will talk to you. It is like a car. If you don't maintain it well, it's not going to run well. So we are doing monthly services that are, just a smaller checklist, not the huge one that you do, just small ones looking at small things and go out there and we get a feeling of the system and also we can adjust things right there. We don't have to shut down the whole system then, and everybody has to get their car out. Now we can come in during the times everybody's at work. We're not, bothering anybody, and we can do our thing and be out without anybody noticing. And also, we know better what the system is telling us, and we can also then tell the owner here your system is running fine. We adjusted a few things, or if we are, 15, 20 years down the line, we can tell them, okay, we may have to exchange some platform profiles, one or two, because they are just damaged. And so in total, we just have a better feeling then.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you say damaged. Is collision, uh, does that happen fairly common where somebody runs into something and
You get notice of one or two a year that somebody maybe nicked their mirror because they underestimated how big their car is. But typically the at a certain everything rusts at a certain point. We've
right?
been doing this for 60 years, so we learned our lessons. We do galvanize everything. But if you don't get the salt off after a winter season, if the platform does get a scratch into the galvanization at a certain point, it will start.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that we do have continuous platforms, but these platforms have single platform profiles we call, so you don't have to exchange the whole platform. No, we can just take out that piece, put in a new piece in, and we're okay.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Um, I was trying to, tell me, in this day and age, everything's got a computer attached to that.
Mhm.
Do you guys, is it like a closed system, or you guys, is it, I mean, I'm assuming it's got internet access and all that. Is it, how do you guys guard against, uh, all of the other computer fun that exists
Yeah.
in life?
So we are in a closed loop. We are introducing internet to them, but not like just, plug it in. It's more to see if there are any faults in the system, if we can maybe, mend them from way from the office, or we have to send somebody out there. But right now we're pretty off grid, which is pretty good because we don't have the issues of um, you know, any attacks. Of course, people see that as a disadvantage sometimes that we're not connected with the internet, but the most faults that we actually see is a fault in the system that be one, maybe it's the user 80% of the time, or it is just you just reset the system very quickly and the fault is gone. And this is typically done via a phone call, so we typically don't have to go actually out to for service calls in that aspect.
Got it. Uh, I believe you said, is it a million or how many parking spots do you guys have?
A million out
Million?
there now. Yeah,
Okay.
all over the world. Also, our the first installation from 1965, still operational in Munich, so it's still going. It's a bit small for cars nowadays, but it's still moving.
Still works.
Yeah.
What's the largest parking facility you've developed or installed?
That as for in the United States, it's in San Francisco. It was about 270 cars. For then in one we have in Salt Lake City, 140 cars. Um, so that's typically the range we see. Internationally, there is one in Dubai with over 1,000 cars. So
Wow.
that's huge. But they always do
Yeah.
everything big.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what a unique product and an opportunity to you know uh, kind of spread it throughout the world there. Um, I'm just trying to think. So from the first one to the most current one, has it been mainly the size of the space that's changed, or
Um, It's definitely the size, the weight, the widths, that definitely because cars are just getting bigger and bigger, they're not getting smaller. But of course, advancements in steel as well, in galvanization as well, and of course technology. May it be just through the software that drives these puzzle parkers to just advantages also through EV charging, um, whatever comes up, AI is also a big thing that people look into it. We try to keep our systems as simple as possible, just also mechanically wise and software wise, because the more complicated it gets, the more issues you can get. So easier is sometimes better. So
yeah, amen to that.
yeah.
Hey, Chris, if we could, I'd like to shift gears here for a second.
Mhm.
As I mentioned to you earlier, by day I'm an insurance broker, and as such, I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk. And there's three strategies we typically consider. We first look to see if there's a way we can avoid the risk. When that's not an option, we look to see if we can minimize the risk. And if we're not able to avoid nor minimize the risk, we look to see if we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is. It's a risk transfer vehicle. And as such, I like to ask my guests if they can look at their own situation. Could be your clients, could be the industry, could be vehicle size, demand, population migration, whatever it is that you see and consider to be the biggest risk. And again, for clarification, while I am an insurance broker, I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance related answer. And so, if you're willing, I'd like to ask you, Chris Tiessen, what is the biggest risk?
The biggest risk in my mind is for our industry that we're seen as a commodity, is as seen as somebody that is not necessary because before they go into the risk of getting mechanical parking and maybe the system not working, I will just, let the whole project go away and not do the project. So that's our biggest risk that all of our um, companies in this industry are working against, and also that conventional parking is more attractive still than mechanical parking, even though we have so many advantages to it, and it's more of the company behind it to actually manage these risks and take on these risks of the uncertainties of our client and just put them in ease that mechanical parking is the step to the future. It's not only the step to the future, it is always already present here, and that with this you can open doors to your development that you did not think before. And typically, if we have developers in there who've been using mechanical parking for the first time, they don't go back because it just opens so many doors for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, this has been very educational and eye-opening, and All good. Chris, where can the listeners go if they'd like to learn more or connect with you?
So they could go to our website, which is called us.multiparking.com. And there they can either reach out to myself or to Donna Wagner, our Director of Business Development. Or if they have a specific project in mind, they can also reach out to our sales agents who are, glad to help them for the first consultation.
Awesome. Well, Christopher Tiessen, I cannot say thanks enough for taking the time to talk. I've enjoyed it, learned a lot, and look forward to doing it again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.
You're listening to CREPN Radio for influential commercial real estate professionals. For more information on this or any of our guests, like us on Facebook, CREPN Radio.